Out of the hills of Habersham, down the valleys of Hall, I hurry amain to reach the plain, run the rapid, and leap the fall. Out of the hills and the valleys, down from the Piedmont and over the plain. Savannah, Ogeechee, Altamaha, Chattahoochee, Apalachicola, Satilla, Sewanee, Ochlockonee, Choctawhatchee, Perdido, and Escambia. Out of 88,000 square miles of southeastern pine woods and farmland, our rivers run down to the Gulf of Mexico and the sea. And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and the river went out of Eden to water the garden. And the Lord God took the man and put him into the garden of Eden to dress it and to tend it. And now God's Eden bears other names. Eden. What is Eden? Call it the good earth. Call it nature at its best. Call it the ultimate of man's use of land. Our blessings are many. Soils rich in kind and variety. Seasons long for growing. Rainfall in ample supply. Nature at its best, its most productive, appreciates the touch of man. Man, sometimes wasteful, sometimes wise. The measure of a man's wisdom, or a nation's, could be expressed as the use of foresight. And foresight so often depends on confidence in the future, the sure conviction that tomorrow will come and must not arrive unplanned for. Like most nations in most centuries, we've organized provisions for planning, for overcoming potential disasters, and for carrying out works and projects for our general benefit. This is not totalitarian planning, which forces people to submit to the will of a tyrant or a class, but rather the patient pursuit by public servants of a humble objective, to conserve, to improve, to increase the good things of earth for the next season, the next year, and for generations to come. Our planning needs have been met very adequately in the past, but now that our age of earthly expansion is at an end, existing agencies may begin to find themselves handicapped. They may even feel insufficient to the tasks ahead. The regulations and practices of an earlier generation are often stubborn barriers to progress. Our problems have a new complexity. The bewildering speed of inescapable change catches many unprepared. In 1900, 2 million people lived in this area. Now nearly 5 million. By the end of this century, more than 10 million. There were in the early 30s over 6 million farms in the United States. Today there are about 5 million, with a corresponding shift of people into the cities. By the year 2000, this picture will have changed even more. At the same time, increasing local opportunity has slowed the outward migration, and the trend is reversing. As population grows, there will be increasing demand and competition for land and water resources. When man first entered this wilderness, he began to change it. Trees fell and cities rose. More food for more people made more farming necessary. Industry expanded, and a new nation stood on the face of the earth. Our wealth and power depend upon land and water, two resources for which there are no substitutes. Management of these resources involves certain problems and opportunities. There are many ways of classifying these according to the purpose and the need. Flood control, fish and wildlife, soil and forest conservation, sediment control, navigation, drainage and reclamation, water quality control, pollution abatement and public health, electric power, industrial development, water supply, irrigation and salinity control, and recreation. These are ordinary problems that face us now. What of tomorrow? What of the time soon to come when more than twice as many people will inhabit this land? The resolving of problems which overlap each other to a frustrating extent requires something special in careful, comprehensive planning, requires delicate coordination among all the people and agencies concerned to tie together the many specialized solutions. In an era of population expansion, a fresh approach is called for. In 1958, the Congress authorized the formation of a commission to study these interrelated topics. This commission was charged with the task of analyzing the situation and suggesting solutions for the best use of our land and water resources. They were to seek the means to remove legal and fiscal barriers, to open new doors so that existing agencies could interact more fruitfully. The appointed commissioners represent the 4 states in the area and those public agencies most concerned with the problems. There have been previous resource studies, but the United States Study Commission Southeastern River Basins differs in several important ways. First, it was created by legislation which gave equal emphasis to the water and the land resources. Further, all the commissioners, state and federal, were given equal status, a very great advantage. How do you go about planning so vast a subject as land and water uses? First and foremost, a number of questions have to be answered accurately. What are the basic common needs of the people? What resources are available for the satisfaction of these needs? Where are deficiencies, surpluses, bottlenecks? How to work toward a state of reasonable balance between the distribution of population, agriculture, mining, manufacturing, and trade, between cities and open space and outdoor recreation. How to anticipate problems not yet arisen. Such a complex study, to be truly effective, takes time. But by making the fullest possible use of the knowledge and skills of existing agencies, by using local, state, and federal data, and occasionally contracting for special studies by private agencies and universities, time and money have been saved. Cooperative agreements and contracts with both public and private agencies have enabled the Commission to do an effective job. Coordination at local levels has been accomplished through public hearings and personal contact with community leaders. So many considerations, so many separate pieces to be fitted together into a giant 4-dimensional puzzle. But like any puzzle, the parts must add up to a specific and complete picture. The pieces fall into roughly a dozen categories. Let's look at them one at a time. First, flood prevention and control. Since the early years of this century, we have developed weather forecasting and warning systems, and local protection works almost without number. We have made great strides toward control over our sometimes unruly rivers. We have learned how to coax and persuade our streams not to rush headlong and heedless to the sea. We can be proud of our achievements in land conservation, in discouraging the wasteful runoff of surface water. Plans for floodplain zoning and floodplain evacuation where needed, river channel improvement, stream diversions, and the extension of existing control measures, all are subjects for continued study. Already, shifting patterns of population and land use are changing the nature and distribution of some flood hazards. We must look ahead. We are blessed with ample water, but in the face of residential and industrial growth, there is an increasing need to maintain standards of purity. Clean water is needed not only by people, but also by many industries. The growth of population, shifts in its distribution, changes in the balance between farming and manufacturing are major considerations in this field. While we have an adequate supply now, we must make better use of what we have. New studies in industrial reuse and agricultural conservation of water will be very helpful. But bearing directly on water supply are such related problems as the seepage of salt into groundwater in coastal areas and pollution control everywhere. We're using 25 times as much water per person as 50 years ago. Even if the use per person does not increase, twice as many people will need twice as much clean water, and twice as many people will also dirty the water twice as fast as before. Consequently, many more sewage treatment plants will be necessary, and so far we have been unable to keep up even with current needs. Nobody needs to tell you that in an era of increasing population and increasing leisure, more people will be using the same recreational facilities. Nobody needs to tell you either that no one should have to play in filthy water. No study of any area could be complete without consideration of the needs of navigation. A doubled population and a greater industrial growth per capita add up to at least twice as much industrial traffic, and water will have to carry its share. Our waterways have great potential for industrial traffic. There's a pressing need for activity aimed at modifying locks, widening and deepening channels, and otherwise updating existing facilities. Closely related are the problems associated with reclamation, irrigation, and drainage. We have thousands of idle acres that could be reclaimed, some to be used for building, some for agriculture. Other thousands of acres must be provided with irrigation in order to increase productivity to meet expanding food requirements. We must look ahead. If we will need food for more people, we will also need power for more homes and industries. As with water, our use per person of electric power is increasing at such a rate that by the end of the century we will need not merely twice as much, but possibly 3 or 4 times our present capacity. Coal and nuclear-powered steam plants will doubtless provide an increasing part of this, but plans must be implemented now for further hydroelectric construction. Short-sightedness now will mean shortage later. So far, we've been talking about water, but the Study Commission has been equally concerned with land. Obviously, the two cannot be separated. For example, a major consideration in the dredging of navigation channels is that after 80 years of conservation work, we're still losing in the southeast 3 million tons of topsoil every year from farms, cut-over woods, and new residential tracks and roads. The expense is tripled. First, we lose a priceless and irreplaceable resource. Soon, we will no longer be able to afford this loss. Second, the costly dredging to keep channels open and free of the mud, which is constantly filling them. And third, we lose many years of the normal life expectancy of our dams, their lakes slowly filling with topsoil. Further development of existing and new techniques of soil conservation is an urgent necessity. If we're losing land to the sea, we're also losing it to the city. We're now losing nationally 1.5 million acres every year of woodland, of crop and pasture land to our growing towns and highways. Much of our best agricultural land is being swallowed up forever. By the end of the century, we will have to feed ourselves from 1/3 less land. Discouraging the growth of cities is not the answer. Stop at one place and it comes out somewhere else. And slowing the population growth is not the answer in this century. We've waited too long. The situation is already out of hand. We must plan for the best solution to a problem that can no longer be evaded. At the end of the century, we will need to house over 10 million people in an area which now contains less than 5 million. Our basic construction material is pine. We will need then over twice as much lumber. We do not have twice as much land to plant to pine. At the same time, we will be reading twice as many papers, using or wasting twice as much wrapping, packaging, and other paper and pasteboard. 4 times as many trees on less land? Ridiculous. And yet some solution must be found and steps taken now to ensure an adequate forest 40 years from now. Just as man has brought disaster upon himself by disrupting the natural balance between forest and open land and water, so has he also strained the balance of forest life. To restore and improve the natural ecology of our region, this is a challenge we cannot ignore, a responsibility we cannot escape. If we're to pass on to our children a land worthy of the name of Eden, there is much which we must do. It could hardly be said that nature always benefits from man. Man, however, benefits from nature, needs nature. To prolong his life and to make whatever life he has seem real and worthwhile, man must return again and again to the fields and forests from which his ancestors came. We can destroy, we can also, for our own pleasure and need, build up again. The loss of forest and topsoil is our fault. We're losing our beaches, too. It's not our fault, but we can do something about it. We have to decide how much beach we need. We have to find out how much of it is salvageable and where we can afford to maintain it. We must devise means to protect our beaches from the ravages of storms and hurricanes. To protect coastal towns and habitations from the same kind of damage is an even more obvious need. These and many others, equally urgent, form the planning tasks for which the United States Study Commission Southeastern River Basins was brought into existence. It is a formidable challenge. The working of a study or planning commission must be limited. Such groups are not usually action or construction agencies. Their job is to make and recommend plans, but they have no power to act on them. They can only study conditions, examine the future, and devise ways to prepare for that future. The impetus toward action must be yours. In a free country, any plan must spring from the needs of the people and must await its fulfillment upon the will of the people to act. Here, then, is our future, a puzzle of many bits and pieces. Our past accomplishments, our present trends and directions, our future needs must all be studied, thought about, and fitted together into an organic unity. Each piece is meaningless except in terms of the part it plays in making the picture complete. This is our planning challenge. The free citizen in a free society must accept this challenge, must study, must evaluate, must decide, and then must act. Only intelligent study by many citizens can complete the planning picture. And only intelligent action can bring this plan to life. To plan for our future, to conserve our resources, to pass on to our children a world no less rich than we found it. This is our challenge and our dream, and has been since the beginning of things, and must always be so.